Well, welcome back to the programme. Back in October, people held a peaceful protest at Pickmere Lake to block access to contractors after the Parish Council, that's Pickmere Parish Council, announced plans to build a fence around the open space. The Safe Pickmere Lake group said they were acting to protect their rights to access to the water and had ever since been ensuring that the Parish Council didn't carry out its threat. But since then, a new Parish Council has been voted in and a new chairman, Ewan Campbell, has been elected. Unfortunately, the problems with visitors inundating the village have continued this year, and I'm delighted to say I've got Ewan back here in the Radio Northwich studio to tell us what's going on at Pickmere. Good afternoon, Ewan.
Hi, Mike. Great to be back.
Good. I know you were in the studio a short while ago, but one or two listeners have been in touch this week and just said they really would like to have a little bit of an update with regard to what's going on. There was a great pouring of dismay, wasn't there, at the proposed action of the Parish Council last year, and thousands of people signed the petition to have the decision to have a fence built around the lake reversed, which thankfully has now happened. I wonder if, I know you've done it before, but I wonder if you could remind the listeners the circumstances, what's actually, what's caused all this problem? Because we've probably got one or two new listeners, probably one or two people, God bless them, don't even know Pickmere exists. What's the problem at Pickmere, particularly during summer months?
So, this is a long-standing problem. So during the summer we have hundreds of people come to what is a small lake to obviously use the facilities. We've got a big open space, we've got the lake on sunny days, and that in itself has never been a problem to the villagers in Pickmere. I think the issue happens is that they come down, they park inappropriately, they block roads. We've had trouble with fire engines and ambulances getting access to residents in emergencies. We've had people come down, they start lighting disposable barbecues on the grass and parts of the grass. They've even lit barbecues on the wooden benches that the council provided. And a couple of weeks ago we had to get the fire engine down, or the fire brigade down, because the people refused to put the offending barbecue out. So it's a sort of escalating, I guess, issue on sunny days. We've been fortunate this year because, as your listeners will know, we haven't had that many sunny days. So from the parking and antisocial behaviour issue, we haven't had too much to deal with. But every time we get sunny, we do. I think it's also escalated because we're now getting people coming down at 5 a.m. The lake is being used, and we've got bad parking all the way up until 10, 11 at night.
Really?
Which is, for people further away from the lake, it's not a big issue.
Just explain, sorry to butt in, I wonder if you could just explain the physical attributes of the village itself and why it's causing so much trouble. It's only a small village, isn't it, Pickmere?
Yeah, it's we've probably got 300 odd houses.
Right.
It's pretty much a Cheshire village. We haven't got major roads coming into the village. There are no big facilities. We have one pub and not much else. So narrow country lanes get very easily blocked, and people tend to park on both sides of them. So you literally cannot get an ambulance or a fire engine down those lanes. But because most of our residents live on country lanes, if they have an emergency, you have a number of people in the village who are registered as priority people in an emergency.
Right.
They literally cannot be accessed by the emergency services. So it's
and the lake itself is free, isn't it? There's no charge. People can actually use the lake and all its facilities free of charge, can't they?
I'm currently on our side of the lake.
Yeah,
that is true. People's access to the lake is via a footpath, and generally I don't think most people have trouble with people swimming in the lake and using the footpath as long as they do it respectfully. It's the lighting of barbecues, bad parking. We've had quite a lot of problem with drugs, and the police have been down.
Really? So a lot of antisocial behaviour as well. Is that's by the sounds of it, that's causing a problem as well.
Yes. So we've got people taking prohibitive substances. We have people that use the lake and the field as a toilet. Because we don't have any facilities down at the lake, it's just a lake owned by the Parish Council. And I think one of the problems is people get confused because they believe it's public land because it's owned by the parish council, but it's not, it's private land.
Right.
So there are no access rights to the land or the lake except via the footpath.
Right. Sorry to dwell on this. So you actually have people defecating, do you, actually, in and around the lake itself?
Yes, and we have to take measures to clear some of the
excrement.
We have left pigs. I mean, I've done it several times myself. It's very, very unpleasant.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed what you find in the bushes.
Yeah. So this year hasn't been as bad as previous years, because as you quite rightly identify, this summer, apart from, it was June, wasn't it? We did have a flaming June, didn't we? What was it like in June? Did you have particular problems then?
Yes, we did have some influxes of people. I have to say that this year we've been supported very well by Cheshire Police and by Cheshire East Council. So we're in Cheshire East. Unfortunately, the lake is split between a number of councils, I think 3 councils, and some of us are in Cheshire East and some of us in Cheshire West,
right,
which makes it quite difficult. And also, even from a police perspective, we're covered by Knutsford in Pickmere. Wincham, who equally have problems with the influx to the lake, are covered by Northwich.
Right.
So getting coordination is quite difficult.
Tricky.
We do get obviously police from Northwich coming to our side, and our police go to their side when they can. But it is quite difficult being on that county border.
Right. Okay. And a few weeks ago, I believe that during the hot spell, Cheshire police officers who were on patrol posted some fixed penalty notices on visiting cars. Yeah.
Yep. So obviously it's an offence to park across the drop curb. I mean, they're there to allow people in wheelchairs and people with children to cross the road.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, parking within 15 metres of a junction is an offence.
What about yellow lines? What about yellow lines to prevent parking? Does the village not have a no parking policy as regards yellow lines?
We do for some of the roads around the lake. I think one of the problems that we have is that those lines are historically to do with the old fun fair, which used to be at Pickmere.
They did?
And obviously at that time a lot of the houses that have now been built in Pickmere didn't exist. So we've got a lot of new build that don't have yellow lines, and also there's some country lanes further away, so people appear to be quite happy to walk a long way with their paddle boards in order to access the lake. So historically people on country lanes a lot further away from the lake didn't get any problems, but as more and more people come, there's more and more cars, and the issue has gone out from the centre of the village to the outskirts of the village.
Really? So how many people do you actually have, off the top of your head, how many people do you actually, on a warm sunny weekend, how many people would you have coming down? How many cars?
I mean, I would say at a peak probably 100 and 150, but obviously people are coming and going.
Right.
And people probably remember, we talked in the past about, the nitric oxide canisters that have been left on the field. I mean, there have been some weekends where you couldn't walk across the field, and it's a big field, without stepping on one.
Really?
And obviously the residents had to come down and clear up that mess. So it's hundreds of people, and they're coming from all over the northwest.
Where are they coming from? Are they coming from that far, are they?
Yeah. And obviously with some of the police action, we have got some information on where people have resided, and they're coming from Runcorn, they're coming from Liverpool, St Helens, Manchester, Salford, you name it, they come.
So what kind of support are you getting from, Cheshire East Council the village itself is in Cheshire East, isn't it?
That's right.
Right. What kind of support are you getting? We'd actually asked Councillor Kate Parkinson, who I think has the transport responsibility over at Cheshire East Council, to come on the programme, but we've not heard from her. What kind of support have you actually been getting from Cheshire East Council? Because as a parish council, you're limited in what you can do, aren't you?
Yes, and I think people would be surprised how limited the powers of a parish council are. I think people imagine that they're much bigger than they are. I have to say, Kate Parkinson, since the new council have been elected, has been very supporting of these issues. She's spoken to, obviously, Cheshire East Council about the yellow lines. So our yellow lines haven't been repainted in a long time, and we need to get them repainted. So she's been liaising with the internal groups, and I believe they've come down and they've taken photographs of the state of the lines at the moment.
Right.
So that's a positive thing.
To have them reinstated.
Yep, to have them repainted.
Yep. But of course, you then need people to patrol. If you're going to have them there, then obviously that's going to be manpower to actually have patrols there to actually police the parking as such.
Yeah, and I think again, Cheshire East enforcement, so their traffic wardens have been coming down regularly. Obviously, for them, it is a revenue stream. So I think while there are bad parking in Pickmere, they're quite happy to send people, and they have been, I have to say, really supportive. But it's quite interesting. At one point, we had probably last summer, the police towing cars away, and it was interesting to sit there and watch them, because they tow a car and then within 60 seconds someone else fills the gap.
Really?
And so you've got this tow truck that's just going between the pound and coming back and just towing from the same spot all day. It's incredible.
That really is incredible. What have you discussed? We did say that the things that you can actually do as a parish council are somewhat limited, albeit the fact that you're wanting to try and sort things out. Is there anything? Are there any solutions that you've discussed long term with regard to this? Because I should imagine that the parish council and you yourself are very keen to try and it's prevention rather than cure, isn't it? If you can prevent people actually coming up, provide them with an alternative, then that obviously would solve things. Have you actually discussed anything long term that maybe you could come up with?
So I think, as a council, what we're hoping to get is a public space protection order on the area around Pickmere, which
what does that entail? Sorry.
So basically, any land where there's antisocial behaviour, you can apply for a public space protection order, and that basically gives the police more powers to deal with antisocial behaviour on that land. So in terms of the parking, obviously getting the yellow lines reinstated is really important to the village. Also maybe getting some yellow lines for the new roads that have come since the fun fair was in the village. And I think when those things are in place, then the police have more powers to act on the bad parking. So currently, Cheshire East enforce parking on yellow lines, and the police will enforce parking on corners and drop curves and where the pavement has been blocked. So if you can't get a pushchair down the pavement, then they're happy to ticket. But it's sort of that dividing. The other thing we're looking at as a village is whether we can get permit parking for the residents in the village.
All right.
Again, that I think is attractive to the police force, because then all they need to do is check if a car that is licensed to an individual within the village.
Okay.
And then they can tow it. Obviously, people will have visitors in the village, and there are mechanisms to sort that out. And I think the final part of the jigsaw puzzle so far is that we want to put parking charges in for the car park, which is by the lake. So it's only about 13 spaces, but they are completely parked in all day. So I think by adding in charges, because one of the things that when we talk to people is this is the only lake for miles where people can come down for free, and so people drive past other lakes. So if we've got somebody coming from Salford, they've already driven past a lake which they could go paddleboarding on or go swimming in, but the difference is they have to pay.
Right.
So long term, that's sort of our plan, but obviously it's a slow journey.
Yeah, hence the appeal of Pickmere with it being free. I have had a couple of statements, both from the Police and Crime Commissioner and Esther McVeigh, the MP for Tatton as well, who Pickmere comes in her constituency. I'll just read out firstly, just to get your reaction to John Dwyer. John Dwyer sent the following to me, which I received yesterday. He says as follows: I'm aware of the issues issues around Pickmere Lake, in addition to meeting with the chair of the parish council, which is you, and the local policing team, I have been to visit the lake during one of its busiest periods to see firsthand what residents are experiencing. Finding a long-lasting resolution to these concerns will mean the police, parish council, borough council and all relevant bodies working together, and I am committed to bringing everyone around the table to find a way forward. Are there any plans to meet up with John Dwyer and perhaps Cheshire East Council and whoever to discuss options?
Yeah, I think that was part of the conversation I had with John originally. And we mentioned Kate Parkinson earlier on. Yeah, it was actually Kate that managed to get John to come down on a sunny day and see what was going on.
Right.
And see it firsthand.
Yeah.
But I think it is, it's a multi department approach. We need to get buy-in from the residents. We need to get buy-in from the other local villages. There's no point in Pickmere behaving in one way and just pushing the issue over to
somewhere else,
to Wincham.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what will happen.
Yeah.
And I think John's plan is to get everyone together, and I think someone like John is able to get all the different groups together, put them in one room and say, well, let's come up with a solution.
Okay, right. I've also had a statement, a comment from Esther McVeigh, the MP, and she says as follows: I'm obviously aware of the continuing issues around Pickmere for the surrounding residents. I, along with Councillor Phil Marshall, met with Wincham residents earlier in the summer to discuss the matter, and am planning to do the same in Pickmere Village with the Police and Crime Commissioner in the next month or so. The focus have to be on finally finding some acceptable, workable solutions that provide an answer for local residents in all the surrounding villages. And she, as you have quite rightly said, it's not just about Pickmere, it's about the other surrounding villages, and being very aware that you don't push the problem onto other people's patches at one and the same time. So by the sounds of it, Esther McVeigh is also going to meet up with John Dwyer probably and yourselves at some time in the near future.
Yeah, and we've obviously been in touch with Esther, and I know a lot of residents in Pickmere have written to them in the strongest possible terms.
Yeah.
And certainly the responses we're getting from Esther, from John Dwyer, from Kate Parkinson, and the response we've had from the police on the ground and the Cheshire East Enforcement Bureau on the ground make me believe that we are coming to a critical mass where we can all get together and hopefully solve this once and for all. Although I'll miss coming on this radio station if we do.
So I know one or two listeners will be interested to know, what are the practicalities about this? If you're going to get a score right, if say we had an Indian summer, and next week or the week, well not next week by the look of the forecast, but let's say as we get into September, suddenly you find we're going to get some 30 degrees, and by the sounds of it, what do you actually do, anticipating that something's going to happen? Do you get in touch with the police beforehand to have them aware and ready? What exactly do you actually do?
So we do get in touch with them. I mean, obviously the police have a power to put in a dispersal order if they believe there will be issues on a certain weekend. Obviously that's a power that the police don't particularly want to use.
What's that? What's a dispersal order? Does that prevent anybody parking or?
It allows, again, it's a little bit like the public space protection order.
Okay.
It gives the police more powers to deal with antisocial behaviour and parking throughout the day. So that's something that they have used in the past, but they use it very, very sparingly. I mean, during the sunny days, residents, if there is bad parking, which is under the jurisdiction of the police, then they phone 101. Report the cars that are causing a blockage. Obviously, if anyone suspected drug use, then they would dial 999.
Right.
And I think also we're in contact with obviously Cheshire East Enforcement, and so although they come down regularly, we do give them a call when things start to build up.
Right.
But as I said, currently it used to be that we had a peak time around about 3 o'clock, but probably in more recent times it's started to start really early in the morning.
Really?
And end really late at night, which is,
Is it 5 o'clock? People arrive at 5 o'clock in the morning to use the lake?
Yeah, and there are people that have their homes by the lake, and for some reason, it seems almost every day somebody's car alarm goes off.
Really?
And I'm sure anyone who's been fishing or used the lake knows that sound carries really far. When it's on a lake, it bounces off. So you've got people who are residents around a very peaceful lake that have been woken up at 5 a.m. And then they can't get to sleep till 10 o'clock. And some of these people have really young children. It's a nightmare for the people that actually physically live around the lake.
Right, okay. Right, so hopefully in the near future, obviously once you've managed to have these meetings with the powers that be, and obviously with Esther McVeigh and with John Dwyer and the people from Cheshire East Council, hopefully you'll be able to come up with some kind of preventive ideas with regard to this, yeah?
Yep, and I think we're sort of very hopeful that we can achieve that together.
Great, okay. Other than that, how are things going as chairman of the parish council? Because I know that last year when you were here, you were one of those people who, not a protester, but you were very much wanting to take the local council to book with regard to the way that they had or had not carried out their consultations. And I know I said to you in here, one of the interviews, well, if you want to do something about it, why don't you put up for council? And here you are as the chairman. How are you finding things? Enjoying it?
Yes, I mean it's challenging.
Is it?
It is. Right. It's a different sort of environment to the one that I'm used to. But
right.
I mean, obviously I can't speak for the council, but I can speak for myself. I think as the council's developed, as you in any group, you see the people who have strengths in some areas and weaknesses in others, and we've managed to start dividing up all the issues between people and actually making progress. So I think for me that's we've probably been in office about 100 days, so it's probably time for a 100 days State of the Union address. But I think we have made progress. We've re-engaged with all the authorities. We've re-engaged with other villages.
Good.
And I think it's going forward. And maybe while I'm here, I can probably do a quick bit of advertising.
Yeah, please do carry on.
So just to show that it's not all bad in Pickmere. On Sunday, the 3rd of September, we're having our first fun day since 2018.
Okay.
We used to have them annually.
Where's that taking place?
That's taking place at the lake.
All right, fantastic.
Come down
right,
and,
okay.
There's a hog roast, and we have the world famous Accelerate brass band coming to play for us. And also something that's important to us as a rural village. We have a talk by David Morgan, who's an author on rewilding grassland.
Right.
We have a talk at 7:30 at the village hall. It's £4, which includes a snack tea, probably a hot dog and a burger.
Excellent,
like that.
excellent.
Which we're calling wildflowers and wine. So those are things that are open to everybody.
And that's is that Sunday, September the 3rd, did you say?
Sunday, September the 3rd is the fun day.
Right.
And the wildflower talk is on Friday the 8th of September in the village hall.
Right.
And entrance for that is £4.
Very much in the news at the moment, rewilding as well. It's very topical at the moment.
Yeah, and there are two sides of the debate, but David Morgan is an expert. He's well published on the area and has been published for a long time, so it's great that we've managed to get him to come down and talk to our residents and others who are interested.
Terrific. Okay.
On the subject.
And I take it you're always looking for volunteers to help you, are you?
Absolutely. So, I mean, one of the things that I was very keen on was engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So we are engaging with our residents on everything. We've been talking to them about the antisocial behaviour and the parking controls and getting opinions and ideas from the village up front, rather than coming with an idea and saying this is what we're going to do. And people have been, I think, very supportive.
They've been responsive, have they, to that?
And I think it's, if you think about Pickmere, we hadn't had an election in the entire time that Cheshire East existed. So we had.
Is that right?
It's quite surprising, and I'm not sure when the last Pickmere election was, when it was just one Cheshire authority. So, and having we had over 54% come out to vote for the new council.
Wow.
So I think within Pickmere we've got lots of engagement going on, and for me that's one of the best things that's come out of this.
Terrific. Well, it's great to see you. I know you've got to get off, and you're flying. You're driving up to Edinburgh. You're going up to the rugby.
Absolutely.
Good for you, yeah. And of course, it's a train strike tomorrow, isn't it? So you're having to drive up. Ewan, thanks very much for coming in. We really appreciate it. I'm glad things have turned down. I'm glad things are turning out in a positive way for the people of Pickmere. Please keep us informed as to what's going on, and let us know how your meetings go on with the relevant authorities and with John Dwyer and with Esther McVeigh as well. It's been a pleasure to have you in the programme. Take care going up the motorway. Hope you enjoy the rugby, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It was
Pleasure.
a pleasure.